Yeah, today I had a thought that I wanted to share about religion, politics, evolution, all these social constructs that the system gives to us about how reality works, right? In essence, these things are given to humanity to essentially blindfold humanity, or to kind of like, not blindfold, but essentially lead, because the bulk of humans are very dim. When I say dim, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because they're just not conscious, they're not awakened, they're not enlightened. And by me saying that, I don't say that to be disparaging towards them. I actually run with the theory that there aren't that many conscious beings here in this reality. I maintain that. I think that because I have tried it myself, where I've sat down with friends, family, colleagues, people I know. Got this injury. But and I've tried to really explain to them how, when I say explain to them, I don't profess to be like the fountain of all knowledge, but essentially to point them to think about certain things in a different way, or look at things from a different view with a more critical eye. And they literally can't see it. And I had a conversation with one of my friends, and he said, well, it's either they're so tethered to the system that they can't see it, so you can't really kind of like, they're just so deeply asleep, right? So you can't awaken them really. Or they're just not people that are going to be awakened in this iteration of reality. That's just the way I look at it. So, like, let me break it down. So for one religion, for instance, like scientism, will tell you that you came from an explosion in the middle of nowhere, nobody was present, but it happened, and they somehow know that it happened even though they weren't there. And then from this explosion came rocks, water, life. Everything that we see around us came from this one explosion of nothing, in the midst of nothing. Listen to this critically. There was an explosion in the midst of nothing, and nobody was there present to witness it. But from this one explosion that occurred, everything came from this one nothingness. And not only that, everything that came from this one nothingness somehow assembled itself to kind of build life as we see it. So water, gravity, the space, planets, the seasons, cycles, supernovas, galaxies, amino acids, proteins, photosynthesis, everything from this one thing that happened, right? And people believe this. And people believe that in this religion also, they mention evolution, that somehow creatures, survival of the fittest, blah, 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 blah. And they adapted, and then it became, something else. Even though we've never seen it happen, we have no evidence to corroborate it really. And the only thing that Charles Darwin really spoke about, because most people will talk about evolution, but they haven't actually read the books about evolution. They haven't actually done the work. And if you're talking about finches, Alexa, volume down. If you're talking about finches, the only adaptation he noticed was the beaks. But then the go-to answer that the scientists will give us is, there's not enough time has elapsed or whatever. But then when you ask them questions like, okay, so what did the ant evolve from? Or what is the ant going to evolve into? Or what is the ant evolving into? Or are there any creatures that are like in-betweeners that we can witness now that are in some stage of evolution? Or like, for instance, where did the jellyfish come from? What did it evolve from? And what is it, there are countless examples, okay? And it's like, even with the whole story of evolution, like, the creature coming from the water and then going on the land. If a creature lives in water and that's its prime habitat, it eats there, feeds there, breeds there, does everything there, yes? So when it comes onto the land, I do apologize, Alexa is just still talking. When the creature comes on land, it's not adapted to function on the land. It probably won't even find anything to eat on the land, even if it can breathe on the land, because everything it eats is water-based. So, but then people believe this as true, even though they don't test this hypothesis. They don't test it. They don't think about it deep enough. And I've written a whole thesis about this. I might share it one day. I think it's about 600 pages or something. But anyway, So proceeding further. So space, all this stuff. But people believe this as fact, right? And then you have, religion that will tell you that, God just made the world, and then we somehow live in it, and one day it's gonna come and judge everybody. So don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. If you do this, he's gonna kill you, and we're all gonna go into the heavens and go and live with him, right? And people believe this as fact, right? And they live their life in accordance to this. But then people don't stop to actually take 10 steps back and look at the life experience that they're actually experiencing, right? Like, how do we explain deja vu? How do we explain dreams? How do we explain coincidences? How do we explain synchronicities? Like, I was just talking to my friend in Switzerland literally about 2 minutes ago, and that was not 2 minutes, 2 minutes before I started the recording, and that's what inspired me to do this. We had a phone call yesterday, and she was heading to Italy, and with a group of friends, and she didn't want to go. And I said, well, if you don't really want to go, then you shouldn't go. You should really listen to your gut. And she was like, I'll still try and go, even though her energy wasn't in alignment with the thing. So I'll give you an example. So then this is what and Vadim Zeland talks about this in his book Reality Transurfing, which the concept of pendulums. That's another thing that is also present in this reality role that people don't think about. So essentially, she wakes up late, she's rushing and nearly misses the train, and the whole thing's been a stress, right? And it's like that same energy that she was carrying yesterday has literally manifested itself in her present waking life today. Like, manifestation is a real thing. As is what's within is what you see on the external screen of space. How does science explain this? How does religion explain this? How is it that everything goes back to source? When I say that, essentially everything will basically break down back to the elements, and the energy will just transfer into another form. How does science explain this and align this with the concept of the Big Bang or the concept of evolution? It can't. And like, these are the things that I've realized. I've realized that as you try to kind of like elevate your mind and recognize that you don't have a soul. You are a soul. You are a spirit. You don't have one. You are one that is just inhabiting a body. And you've just come to this place, whatever this place is, to experience it, right? Learn lessons or whatever it is, and then go on to the next stage or whatever it is. Yeah, something similar to a video game. I use a video game analogy a lot because I actually tend to believe that it's some version of it on some level. It's similar to that, right? And you can see these things, like people. I know people that have manifested amazing things, and I know people that have also manifested not so amazing things, because they are the creator themselves. We are the creative force. I've done it myself. I've created some amazing things, and I've manifested some demons in my life. And some really bad situations. I've seen and it was something that I visualized at one point or saw in my mind at one point. How does science explain this? How does evolution explain this? How does religion explain this? How does politics explain this? It can't. So essentially, the job of those gatekeepers, which is science, religion, politics, and all these kind of like system mouthpieces, their job is to essentially create a narrative or a story, an all-encompassing story that will keep people not questioning reality. That's essentially their job. They both know it's not, we all know it's not real, yeah? At a certain level of reality, we know, we can recognize each other, yeah? But what they have to do is they have to create this idea, this story that most people can run with, and essentially it becomes such a forceful energy that most people just then go along with that stream of consciousness, or that stream of what do you call it, knowledge or information, and people just accept that as what's real. But it's not real. It's just a story. Because even the fact that they call it a theory should tell you that it's not real. It's just an assumption. Like, let me give you an example. And I've thought about this many a time. So imagine we're on a ship, yeah, a big ship going somewhere, or a boat in the middle of the sea, and we all just wake up, yeah, one day, randomly. And we all just like asking each other, where are we? Like, where is this ship? Where's the captain? Where's the ship going? Let's assume that the ship is automatic and it can steer itself. And we're there, we have food, we have water, we have everything we need, but we don't know how we got there and where we're going, right? And then somebody on the ship that's also woken up with us at the same time that we all woke up from this cryo state or wherever we were in, says, I know the way, I know the way. It appeared to me in a dream. And the way is this way, and he writes a book and stuff like this. Like, why would we follow him? He's got the same information that I've got. He's got the same brain that I've got. So how can he lead me anywhere? How can anybody tell you what happened before we all woke up? Let's assume that we know that we all woke up at the same time. Yeah, there's some sort of like way we can confirm that. Yeah. How do we know? Like, we all woke up at the same time. So how do you have a bigger voice or more of an authoritative voice than me? You don't. You can't. Do you understand? So anything that the system or the reality screen presents to you as a voice of authority, as a voice of knowledge, a voice of reason that knows what is saying or can guide you to the promised land, it's a lie and it's a fraud. It's not real. Yeah? Like, we are born free. We've woken up. Yeah? We're all free. The system, everything that the reality generates is to take away that freedom. So, expressions, be a man, be a woman, be a this, be a that, you're a worker, be a that, you're a father, you commit a relationship, that's how it looks like, and all these things just take you and tether you to the reality and its scripts. None of it is real. And I know this is a bit of a rant, but the point I'm trying to make is, if you take 10 steps back, or as we call it in business studies or project management, you call it the 30,000 feet view. So instead of zooming in and focusing on what they're telling you, zoom out, take a broader view, and look at the broader picture and think, why is this? Why am I doing this? Or why do I think this is the right way to do this? Or why do I think this is the way to live life? And also look around you. Look at how the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, in its own pattern, and how it creates these, like an lemma in the sky. The moon does the same, and how the stars, and they all move with like just unbelievable precision, right? But then this came from a random explosion in the middle of nowhere that nobody was present to even witness. And you believe that. And then somehow the world we live on, supposedly, is in the Goldilocks position in our galaxy, so we don't get burned out. We don't, because we move according to their own science. We move forward or go back, we're dead either way, right? And then there's asteroids flying around, but they never hit us, and all this other stuff. Man, come on. You live in a realm, a realm of consciousness. Like a realm where consciousness comes to express itself. It's a low vibrational realm. Yes, this place is really low vibrational. Everything's slow. That's why we call it a physical. Yeah, everything's very slow, vibrates very, very slowly. And that's in at the same time, even though it's a low state, there are also very profound lessons you can learn here, or profound experiences you can have here that you can't have in higher dimensions. This is speculative again because I don't want to do what the scientists and the religious people and stuff. That, "Okay, how can you prove that?" I can't prove it. I've had personal experiences, but it's mine, so I can't prove it for somebody else. All I can say is, if you go down the path, you have your own experiences and you will see. So anyway, just a quick one. Have a good one, and yeah, take care.